Hi, my name is Drew, and welcome to Service Transition Roles and Responsibilities. In a previous video, we've already covered the key generic roles of service owners, process managers, and process practitioners. We're going to cover a number of the transition processes. They include change management, service asset and configuration management, transition planning and support, release and deployment, service validation and testing, and change evaluation. So transition and planning and support, it has a process owner, and again, they carry out those generic process owner responsibilities. They set that overall scope and policies for service transition that all of the other processes are going to follow. We have a process manager for transition and planning and support, and they act as the prime interface for senior management for service transition planning and support, and they coordinate all of the service transition activities across the different projects, across the different teams, the different suppliers. They're the ones that make sure everybody's in coordination to deliver that service design package. And we have our practitioners for transition planning and support. And again, these are the people that are going to maintain the records, they're going to manage the information, they're the doers, they're going to actually undertake the different activities within transition planning and support. Next, we move to change. Change is the big process within transition. This is where a lot of things take place. A lot of things have to be managed, a lot of things have to be recorded. So we have a process owner. And basically the change management process owner designs that change authority. They're the ones that design the change models, they do the change workflow, and they work with other process owners to ensure that change process is integrated with all of those other process owners and service owners, and with also the service operation functions. We have a process manager, and they manage and plan out all of the support for the change management tool, the change process itself, and they're going to maintain the change schedule and those projected service outages. We have a couple additional roles within change management. We have a change initiator, and this is anybody who identifies the requirements for the change, and they'll complete that RFC or that change proposal and submit it to the change process. And usually they'll attend the CAB meeting. We have a change practitioner. This is the role that verifies that the requests for change are complete. They'll allocate the requests for change to the change authority. They'll formally communicate those change authority decisions to who the affected stakeholders might be. And then we have the overall change authority, and they're going to review specific categories of requests for change, and they'll formally authorize the changes at agreed points in the change lifecycle. The change authority can happen in a number of different places depending on your organization. So something that might just have a local impact, that may be done at your local CAB or your ECAB. Something larger, high cost, high risk, may go all the way up to your executive board. Again, each organization is unique, and so where the change authority happens will be unique to your organization. We have the Change Advisory Board. This is the group of people that are going to assist the change management in the assessment and the prioritization and the scheduling of changes. And they're going to look at all of those requests for change from both a business perspective and a technical perspective. Who's going to be at the Change Advisory Board? Well, it can be very dynamic. Usually the change manager themselves will chair the CAB meeting, right? And we can have customers and users, we can have business relationship people, application people, technical specialists, basically whoever's needed to review the particular RFC. We had a rule where I used to work is that if you had a request for change in front of the advisory board, you had to attend the CAB meeting. If you didn't, then your RFC probably wouldn't have been authorized. So the responsibilities, again, the CAB chair is usually the change manager, and they'll plan out the meeting, they'll schedule it, they'll plan out what's going to be on the change schedule, they'll make sure that that the change schedule gets circulated in advance. CAB members, again, these are the people who are going to participate in the CAB meeting, and it can be a very dynamic group, although usually in a lot of organizations I've run across, there are permanent members of that CAB team. Usually your problem managers, or your technical specialists. They're the people who are going to want to review these RFCs to see what the possible impact on their environments is going to be. Next, we have service asset and configuration management. This is a critical process. This is where all of that critical information gets recorded and made sure that it's kept up to date and accurate. And this is done by both the process owner and the process managers and the process practitioners. The process owner, they're going to make sure that they create the policy determining which service assets should be treated as CIs and what level of data should be recorded down into the configuration management system. The process manager, they're accountable for those fixed assets that are under the control of IT. They're going to make sure that they're well defined, that the configuration data is available and it's where it's needed, and it's supporting those other service management processes. When I teach my ITIL classes, I always tell people, remember, SACM provides all of the other processes with accurate and up-to-date information and data. So we have a configuration analyst and we have a configuration librarian within the SACM process, right? And the configuration analyst will support process owner and the process manager in helping create the process itself, the procedures within the process. They'll help define the structure of the configuration management system, and this will include the different CI types, the naming conventions, and attributes that are going to be included in that. The configuration librarian controls the receipt and the identification and the storage of all of that data and all of those CIs. They're going to maintain information on those CIs, make sure it's at the appropriate level, that it's accurate, and that it's up to date. Next, we have release and deployment management, and this is that process where it's that last set of eyes that's going to check what's going to be put into the live environment. So we use release and deployment as kind of a check on what's happened in change, and change authorizes everything that release and deployment is going to do. We have a process owner and we have a process manager. The process owner is going to design and release models and workflows. Excuse me, and they're going to make sure that release and deployment is going to work with all of the other process owners and work with the functional teams that are going to actually do the releases. We have a process manager. They're going to plan out, plan out and coordinate the resources needed to be able to build these releases, be able to test these releases, and finally deploy each of these releases. Some additional roles within release and deployment. We have the release packaging and build practitioner. They help design the release package. We have a deployment practitioner. They're going to help us plan the deployment and then ensure that deployment is authorized, and then they'll actually carry out the physical deployment. Again, these are roles, and they're played by people that have other responsibilities in other stages of the life cycle. We've got early life support, and they're going to provide IT services and business support from the deployment until that final acceptance criteria is met. And then we have the build and test environment manager, and they oversee the build and the test environments. Service validation and testing. We have a process owner, process manager. Process owner, again, defines the overall strategy for the organization on how we're going to do their testing. They're going to work with other process owners to ensure that the service validation and testing is integrated into those other processes. The process manager is going to help design and plan out testing, test scripts and test data. They're going to allocate and oversee the test resources, and they're going to ensure that the proper test policies are followed by the other processes. We have a process practitioner. They'll conduct the test as defined in the test plans and how they've been designed in the service design package. And again, they're going to ensure that everything gets recorded properly. Some other roles that we have in service validation and testing are the change management personnel. They're going to ensure that the appropriate agreed testing strategy has been followed. We've got developers and suppliers. They're going to do their part. We have service design personnel. They're going to design tests and utilize standard tests when available. And we have customers and users who can perform acceptance testing. Change evaluation. We've got a process owner, process manager, and practitioner. Again, process owner is going to ensure integration of the change evaluation process with all the other processes. Process manager is going to plan out and coordinate all the resources that are needed to actually evaluate the changes. They're going to ensure that that evaluation report gets delivered in time, and making sure that the change authority has the right information to do good decision making. We have a process practitioner. They're going to use the service design and release package to develop and evaluate a plan so that we can as input into the service validation and testing. And we're going to create an evaluation report as input into the change management process. Next, we have knowledge management, DIKW, right? Data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. We have a process owner, a process manager again. Process owner is going to create that overall architecture on how we're going to identify, capture, and maintain the knowledge that we have, right? Process manager is going to ensure that all knowledge items are made accessible to those that need them and that they're available when they need them and that they're easy to get. We're going to plan and manage support for knowledge, and we're going to encourage people throughout the service provider organization to contribute to the service knowledge management system, right? We all share our knowledge, we all become smarter. Knowledge is power too, right? We have a knowledge management practitioner. It's sometimes called the knowledge librarian. This is the person that identifies, controls, and stores pertinent information, right? Maintains control of the knowledge items, ensure that they're current, that they're up to date, and that they're accurate. We have a knowledge creator, and many people play this role, right? And they create and share their knowledge. And this may be part of your job description. Thank you for your time.